Welcome to the Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals meeting Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. It's a hybrid meeting. If you're dialing in on a phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. We are being taped by MCTV, if anyone's interested. We don't need to do a roll call because we're all here, so, the Monahan guys. Oh, you just showed up. Okay, we're just gonna take one thing out of order, and then we'll get rolling here. 2614 7 Everson Road. Come on up.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, so the applicant was granted a special permit to extend and alter an existing non-conforming structure. The architectural plans show a bay window that would further encroach into the existing non-conforming side yard setbacks, but was not included on the approved site plan. The applicant is seeking clarification from the board as to whether the bay window is allowed as part of the special permit approval, and it is not specifically identified on the site plan.
Yes, so when we had the last meeting, apparently we just never spoke about it. I assumed it was all set. When Andrew issued the permit, he said that it actually wasn't addressed, so I couldn't put it in. So he offered to add me to get clarification. So it's a bay window on the, oh, it's not up there. It's on the opposite side of the house from the addition, if you will. We closed in the carport on the left, and you see the bay windows on the back right side. So it would only, it doesn't come up, it doesn't come out from the floor. You know, it's a standard window from Home Depot. It's going to come out 13 inches. The end of the windows, they're at a 30-degree angle, so it doesn't bump out very much. And my neighbors on that side, most importantly, I spoke to them, and they have zero problem with it. They actually like how the window that we closed up to put that in, it moves it over, and I think the old window was more directly across from their windows, so they're all for it and had no issue with it at all. And that's about it.
Andrew, do you have anything to offer on this, or?
No, it's pretty straightforward, like you said. So so this is the house, this is the approval on the site plan. So we were allowing them to enclose that, extend all these nonconformities here. The site plan didn't show it, but the architecturals that you did approve and mention in did have that. So when I reviewed the plan, I said they couldn't have it because it wasn't specifically on the site plan. So we want to just get the clarification, just because that was like a new nonconformity on this side. It was an extension of it. Now, you are allowed to have a bay window 2 feet into the required setback, but that would be back at the 13. So you're already non-conforming on that side, so that's why we just wanted clarification, because it was on the architectural plans that they submitted with their special permit request.
All right, thank you. Anything from the board on this?
I have no issue at all.
Nope, same here.
I think it still gets.
It was on their architectural plans, which we had in front of us.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was something missed, but
When was the date of that approval?
It's no foundation, so. What was the date? It was
just earlier this spring.
Yeah, earlier, actually. I think, when did we approve this originally?
I forget.
These were the architectural plans that were submitted with the ZBA.
And when did we approve this,
Was it
Andrew?
March?
You know, March, April?
I think it was March.
It was approval date, yeah, decision was, March 10th.
March 10th, so. I think we just missed it, so.
You could approve it as a minor modification.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
On the as-built plan, though, the as-built
Has to
plan
be
should
built up.
show the bay window on it.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Audience? Seeing that there isn't, I'm gonna move that we close 2614 7 Everson Road, and I move that the board.
Mr. Chairman, it wasn't even a
Oh, it
public
wasn't
hearing,
even open,
so the board has always reserved its own right to modify a decision
Modify.
on its
So I'm just
own.
gonna
and
go-
You can exercise that right. So be the motion to approve a minor modification allowing the bay window as presented on the architectural plans, and on the condition that the bay window be added to the final as-built plan.
All right, so 2614 7 Everson Road. I'm going to move that we have a minor modification that is on the architectural plans, not on the site plan. And we're going to accept the minor modification. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Winchuk.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Go Hensy, aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, good night.
All right, so now we have Stephen and Laura Turley. Petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-902, 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to allow the construction of a 39-foot by 22-foot and 10-foot by 14-foot addition existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on the property located at 46 Woodlawn Circle, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel 1070303, located in the R2 zoning district. Go ahead.
Good evening, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. Yes, the applicants are seeking a special permit for this project on Woodlawn Circle. It's a proposed addition, which is going to be an ADU. The existing lot is non-conforming as well as the front setback to the street. There's a 40-foot setback requirement for the R2. This existing house doesn't meet. The new addition will meet all the setbacks, will not create any new nonconformities. They've got adequate parking for the proposed ADU, and it does not, it meets all the requirements for building coverage and open space on the lot. So, special permit for extension of existing nonconforming.
Anything, Andrew?
No,
Anything from the board here?
Same. I have no issues at all.
Any questions? Anything from the audience on this? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to move that we close 2628, Stephen and Laura Turley, 46 Woodlawn Circle. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Winchuk.
Go Hensy, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
And a move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions of the building permit as built. You need anything else, Andrew?
it's the 1 through 10 on the special permit
Okay,
findings.
yeah, I'll hit that. Subject to conditions based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a new 39-foot by 22-foot, 10-foot by 14-foot addition on the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on the property located at 46 Woodlawn Circle as shown on a certified plan, location plan, showing proposed addition, 46 Woodlawn Circle, dated April 24th, 2026, Stenbeck and Taylor Incorporated, Richards Farm, PLS, and progress set of plans, Rockwood Design, dated April 13th, 2026, 7 pages, meets the special permit criteria of sections 902 and 1012 of the bylaw. You want to put up the 1 through 10? Thank you, Andrew. Does everyone agree with 1 through 10?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Winchuk.
Go Hensy, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have Susan Murphy.
Yes, that's a,
The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-902, 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to allow the construction of a 27-foot by 16-foot addition with a 16-foot by 5-foot covered porch, 14-foot by 13-foot open deck on the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on the property located at 40 Woodlawn Circle, which is further identified in the assessor's maps as being on parcel 100304, located in the R2 zoning district. Go ahead.
again, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor, representing the Murphys. Very similar project, also just a couple doors down on Woodlawn Circle from the last one. I'm putting a proposed addition on the home. This one is not for an ADU, just an extension of the home. Same non-conforming lot size and front yard setback. The addition won't create any new nonconformities, and once again, it's fully in compliance with building coverage and open space requirements for the zone, so just special permit for the extension of the existing non-conforming structure and lot.
All right. Anything, Andrew?
No,
Anything from the board?
I am good.
The audience? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to move to close 2629 Susan Murphy, 40 Woodlawn Circle. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Landshy.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Now we got to move to.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I move that the board vote to grant petitioner's application for a special permit subject to the conditions, building permit, as-built, certificate of occupancy, based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a 27-foot by 16-foot addition and with a 16-foot by 5-foot covered porch and 14-foot by 13-foot open deck on the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on the property located at 40 Woodlawn Circle as shown on a certified location plan, showing proposed addition of 40 Woodlawn Circle dated April 23rd, 2026 by Stenbeck and Taylor, Richard Savant, PLS, and a progress set of plans from Rockwood Design Incorporated dated November 4th, 2026, 13 pages, meets the special permit criteria, sections 902, 1012 of the bylaw. Can we have 1 through 10? Everyone agree with 1 through 10?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Landshy.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You might want to take that last one out of order. It's similar in nature, and I think Rick is the presenter.
Which one's that?
McCleary?
Okay.
Yes,
So we have 2634, Michael and Mary Cleary. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-902, 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code. Demolition of the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and reconstruct a 40-foot by 35-foot single-family dwelling with a 35-foot by 5-foot covered porch and associated egress landings on the stairs, property located at 16 Cricket Lane, further identified on the assessor's map as being on K110911, is located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead.
yes, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. This is a raise and rebuild project on Cricket Lane. They're proposing to put a new structure on the property. The new structure will improve on the non-conforming left side and conform to the front, rear, and right sidelines. Certainly a bigger structure than what's there, but it does conform with the building coverage and open space requirements for the zone. We have included an extensive amount of stormwater treatment for it, just because of the hillside, which is a lot of the grading that you see on the plan, but otherwise, a straight special permit for existing non-conforming lot. And we're improving on one of the non-conformities and conforming with the rest.
Okay. Anything, Andrew?
No, it's, like I said, like Rick said here, it is a pretty straightforward raise and rebuild. They are utilizing the existing setback on that non-conforming side, but they are moving it back from 8 feet to 8.9 feet. The deck will be under 4 feet off of grade, so that's why it can go up to 24. It could actually go to 15 if it's less than 4 feet. So the new house, it's confirmed that it won't violate the building coverage or open space area. And so it is a raise and rebuild, and it appears that the top floor is, only a half story, and it appears to meet all the height requirements.
Thank you. Anything from the board?
Andrew just answered it.
Anything from the audience? That there isn't. I'm going to move that we close 2634, Michael and Mary Cleary, 16 Cricket Lane. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Landshy.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
And a move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit subject to the conditions, demolition permit, building permit, as-built, certificate of occupancy, based on the findings that the applicant proposed to demolish the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and reconstruct a 40-foot by 35-foot single-family dwelling with a 35-foot by 5-foot covered porch and associated egress landings and stairs on the property located at 16 Cricket Lane as shown on site plan, showing proposed replacement house dated May 5th, 2026, Stenbeck and Taylor, Richard Font, PLS, revised June 4th, 2026, and 7 ZBA submitted plans by Rockwood Design Incorporated, dated June 4th, 2026, 15 pages. Meets the special permit criteria of sections 902, 1012 of the bylaw. Andrew can thank you. Everyone agree with 1 through 10?
I do.
I do. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Henson.
Groveland, Hensy, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. All right,
Night.
now we have 2630 Alexi Realty LLC. Petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305, 902, 305, 1012 site plan approval in accordance with 305, 1202 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to allow for the existing non-conforming mixed-use building currently comprised of two business establishments utilizing 3,266 square feet of office space for retail and service use. Number 14, and a one residential 1,214 square foot, two-bedroom dwelling on a unit altered in non-conforming uses extended throughout the altered space, and one business established utilizing 962 square feet of office space for retail service use, number 14, and three residential two-bedroom dwelling units utilizing 2,304 square feet of the habitable space contained within the existing non-conforming building on the property located at 2036 Ocean Street, further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel G080602A, and is located in the B2 zoning district. Go ahead.
Mr.
Name,
Chairman,
address.
good evening. For the record, Christopher Harrington. My law office is at 21 McGrath Highway in Quincy, and I represent Alexi Realty LLC and its manager, Edmund Mata, who's the gentleman to my left at the end in the black jacket. We were here last month where we went through this project briefly and talked about what we're planning on doing. And at that meeting, we asked you if you would waive site plan review because it was such a small, insignificant project. And my recollection is that you did agree to do that. So we're here tonight to hear the application for the special permit to alter a non-conforming use. This building dates to 1952. Many years ago, these were two separate pieces of property in two separate buildings. There's an office on the left-hand side, there's a two-story office in the middle, and there's a house on the right. And before 1983, they were two separate pieces of property. Both pieces of property were purchased by the same owner, and they applied for a special permit to build the two-story section in the middle. So when they did that, they created a single structure. By building that structure in the middle and connecting the left and right-hand sides, they created a single structure, which was a mixed-use structure. And the residential portion of the mixed use dated back to 1952, which is when the house was built. So the board's action at that time by approving the site plan review and the variances and the special permits was they, in effect, created a mixed-use structure. And as I said, the residential portion of that mixed use dates from 1952. So we came in with an application to alter a non-conforming mixed-use structure. I had a couple of meetings with Mr. Stewart, and we discussed the property, we just discussed the history, and decided that this was the appropriate permit to ask for this piece of property. And obviously, he's the zoning enforcement administrator for the municipality, and it was his call for us to come here for this permit for this property. I have some information that I'll go through where I will back up I think that is the correct permit that we should be asking for. When this was first built, when the addition was first built back in 1983, so we're talking 43 years ago, there was a variance for front yard setback. There was a special permit to reduce the parking load from 14 to 11, and there was site plan approval. And all of those things happened, all of those things were approved. What we're planning on doing is taking the center section of the building and converting it from 2 floors of office into 2 apartments. The parking load for those two-bedroom apartments is less than the parking that's required for that amount of office space. So we're going to be improving the parking ratio and improving, the amount of parking that's available on site. Sorry, is that the site plan that's up there?
It is, yes.
Rick, would you like to come up here and talk about your site plan while they have it up on the screen?
Sure.
Stenbeck and Taylor designed a new septic system for the property. One of the significant improvements that we're making to this site is that the house is on a cesspool. There's an actual cesspool in the front of this building that the house is on. And so that's obviously going to be removed, and it's going to be replaced with a professionally designed, compliant Title V system.
That's correct. We did redesign a replacement system for the residential part, which is correct. Chris is right. It was on an existing cesspool that's there. So we went through the conservation process and Board of Health process to get that new system approved to accommodate the expansion that's taking place here. That work was all approved. And of course, we did the survey of the whole site showing all the parking and pavement that's there. But yeah, essentially that. The sewer is close by, but not close enough to connect to at this time. So right now, we're still working with an on-site treatment system. So yeah, that was basically it.
So our project is there's no new construction, there's no increase in the footprint, no change to the exterior of the building. All the proposed work is just interior renovations. Andrew, would you mind putting up the floor plans, please? So the first several sheets are the existing conditions. This is existing first floor, next sheet. This is the existing second floor, next sheet, please. And this is
New first floor.
thank you, new first floor. So you can see that the dark lines in the center, what we're planning on doing is creating a foyer as you come through the front door, fireproof walls, all appropriate fire separation. And then you'll pass through a door to the stairs to the second floor, but that will section off the first floor of the building into a two-bedroom apartment. There are 2 bedrooms on the right-hand side, a utility laundry room, kitchen, bathroom, and a den on the left-hand side. Next sheet, please. This is the second floor. You see the heavy black line. Again, that's the new fire separation wall. Person will come up the stairs from the first floor. 2-bedroom apartment, kitchen, living room, and a full bath. Next, please. This shows the entire structure with, it's called the north unit, with the 2-bedroom apartment that's on the right-hand side. That's all existing, that's not changing. Next sheet, please. Yeah, that again is a close-up of the 2-bedroom unit on the right-hand side, that's existing. Next sheet, please.
This is all I have
That's it,
here.
okay. So the previous sheet just shows the entire building, so you can see everything that's there on the floor. So those are the architectural plans. They're pretty straightforward because we're not making any changes to the outside of the building. There was a question that was raised by the town planner about whether or not this building is pre-existing non-conforming, whether or not this permit can be approved. I wrote a response to that, which I submitted a couple of weeks ago. I hope that you've all seen it. The planning agent, made a couple of statements which I disagree with. In one of her statements, she said that she wrote that the exclusively business use is further confirmed by the notice of intent filed in 1983, where the applicant describes the proposed work as construction of a 31 by 32 addition to connect 2 existing small office buildings to form 1 office building. And it says use will remain offices. That language is from the notice of intent, which is the application that goes to the Conservation Commission for an order of conditions. It's not controlling on zoning. It wasn't prepared by a lawyer, it was prepared by an engineer. And the engineer was describing the addition that was being proposed. The subject of the notice of intent was the 31 by 32 foot addition. And so anything that the engineer was talking about in that application, he was talking about only the addition itself, because that's the only thing that's subject to the Conservation Commission approval, jurisdiction. they're talking about the footprint, the hay bales, and utility connections, and, what the property will be like and how they're protecting the resource areas. So that language in the notice of intent is not evidence that this entire property was supposed to be an office building, or that that's what the Board of Appeal intended at that time. Since this information came out, we were able to get our hands on the actual minutes from that meeting in 1983, which we did not have before. They were in storage and they weren't located. But I shared a copy of this with town council. He's aware of this. The second to last paragraph in the minutes, and I'll read it to you. A discussion then followed in connection with C.H. Marsh not occupying the entire complex immediately. And Mr. Washer responded that there is a residential unit at the far right side and that it will remain residential for a period of time. However, the addition will be taken over in its entirety by his office. And then as they need the space, they will take over on the easterly side, on the easterly end. So what this tells us is that the Board of Appeal in 83 knew that there was a residential unit there. They knew that they were combining this office space and residential unit together into one use. And they also knew that it was going to be occupied as a residence. The applicant at that time said, if they need more office space, that they will continue moving over to the right-hand side and expanding into that space. What happened, obviously, is that they didn't need more office space. They didn't need to expand into that space because that residential space has been residential since 1952, and it's never changed. It's always been residential. The lady who lives in that property right now has lived there for 20 years. So I think that, the conclusion that this isn't pre-existing non-conforming or that the residential use isn't supposed to be there, I don't think is accurate. And I think the minutes show that the board knew in 1983 that they were combining a commercial and residential use together in the same piece of property, and they knew that it was occupied as a residence and it was going to continue to be occupied as a residence. I've submitted some information to you with, actually, the sheets that I handed to you. One is the property record card for this piece of property. It's pretty straightforward. This is the assessor's property record card, and it shows right at the top the use code 340 and 110. That's office and residential. 110 is a residential use code. Down the bottom, parcel LUC, parcel land use code, com/res. These are the town's official records. In the narrative description of the parcel, it says built approximately 1952, 1 residential unit, 2 commercial units. So there's really no question that this building is a mixed-use building and that it has been one for 43 years. So what we're asking for is, is to simply alter that non-conforming use. This building will be less office and more residential if you approve it, but it will certainly still be a mixed-use building. And given the decrease in the impact that these 2 units will have as compared to a busy office, we think it's a fair trade. In our application, we went through all of the requirements for the issuance of this special permit. We went through all the factors to be considered. I don't know if you want to hear all of them. I don't want to bore you with them if you've already read the materials.
We've all read it. We'll be going through
You've
it.
all read it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't want to sit here and
We'll be going through it anyways.
read 4 pages here that you've already looked at. When we received the comment from the town planner that she didn't believe that you should act on this, I responded to that with a letter, which was also included in your packages. And basically in that, I said that the Board of Appeal approved a 31 by 32-foot addition to connect the 2 existing structures for more additional office space at the property, and that there's nothing in the decision that says that the entire structure was supposed to be used only for office. There's nothing in the decision that says that the residential use has to be extinguished or discontinued or abandoned. As you know, if the board intended that, if they wanted that, then they could have very easily put that condition in the decision back in 1983, and they didn't do that. And the minutes reflect that they did actually know that there was a residential use there at that time. So my argument to you is that it is pre-existing non-conforming and that the board would have extinguished the residential use in 1983 if that's what they wanted to do. And they chose not to do that. And so everything that's in the file at this moment, there's nothing that says that this residential use shouldn't be there or can't be there. And so when the buildings were combined, when they connected the office to the residential, that the unavoidable result was that a mixed-use building was created. And as I said, the residential component of that mixed use dates back to 1952. So we're here looking for approval of a special permit. And if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them.
We'll start with the board. Larry?
I'm sorry, I missed it. Is that gonna be, you wanna convert it to a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom apartment?
There'll be two two-bedroom apartments.
Two 2-bedrooms
There'll be a two-bedroom apartment on the
total.
first floor and a two-bedroom on the second.
on the second floor?
Yes.
Thank you.
With a total of 3, correct?
There'll be 3 two-bedroom apartments in this building.
And the house.
If this is passed.
The house, including the house, it's 3 apartment. So 2 new ones, 1 existing, and then the 1 office space.
Correct.
that was
And so we'll have a total of 6 bedrooms, which using 1.25 spaces per bedroom requires 8 parking spaces, plus a couple spaces for the office that's staying. The office on the left-hand side will still be there. That gives us, required 10 parking spaces, and we've got, 14, 15 spaces on the lot right now. So there's plenty of parking for the use.
Okay. Steve?
So have the owners been continuous? I mean, who is Alexi? Who is this group?
Alexi Realty has owned it for the last 5 years,
Uh-huh.
and that's Edmund Mata, who's right there on the left-hand side.
So he's the property manager and the owner?
Yes. Before him, I think the owner was one of the family members that owns Newcomb Farms,
Yeah.
the restaurant chain, the Newcomb Farms restaurant chain. And before that, it was the CW Marsh Insurance Agency that was the owner, who built the building and owned it for several years after.
Brian, I got a whole bunch of questions,
Go ahead.
but can you just do me a favor here? Can we hear from the audience first? Is that all right with you?
Okay. Does the audience want to speak on this?
I have one question.
Oh, go ahead.
It's just the only thing that was confusing to me, and I don't know if it's material or not, but there's a door between the north unit and the middle unit on the first floor.
Yes.
That looks like it's one big unit now rather than 2 separate units. And that's just, I don't know if it's material or not. Maybe people who are smarter than me can say it's immaterial, but that's the thing that just kind of looked weird to me.
The previous owner had that door there so that they could access the apartment from the office, because it was one owner that had the whole thing. That doorway is going to be closed off. There won't be any access between the 2 apartments in the middle.
It's not what it says on the plan.
I'm sorry, what does it
Says
say?
doorway, says
To remain shut.
to existing door to remain shut or to remain closed. Just
Oh,
means that
okay.
the door is to be closed. That's just weird. I didn't know if that was material or not.
I told the architect he should close it off and fireproof that whole wall so that there's a clear separation between the 2. So I mean, if you wanted to make that a condition, I'm fine with that. 'Cause
I'll be making them do that anyway in the building permit.
That's what I thought, Andrew. That's why I was hesitant to even bring it up, but it just looked weird to me.
It looked weird to me when I saw it too. I thought the architect changed that.
Does anyone else have a quick question?
I do.
Go ahead.
So, Andrew, I have a question on that, page 4 of the 1985, the minutes from the meeting. So, I don't know, the way I read this, says the unit at the far right side, it will remain residential for a period of time. However, the addition will be taken over in its entirety by the office. That leads me to believe that part of this condition was that they were gonna get rid of that unit and make the building entirely business. That's how I read that. It reads like they were gonna slowly eat the residential property space into the office and make it all one entire office.
So Andrew, that's the minutes of the meeting. Do we have the actual decision?
Let me go scan that real quick.
All right.
I read that as well.
It may not just be in the conditions, but it just seems like that's where they were leading, that it was gonna go.
So, right, and the minutes have what was discussed. And so they said, they did say, yes, we're going to take over the addition entirely,
don't have the
you know,
decision, no.
office space. But they also said very clearly that it is a residence and it's going to remain residential, so the board knew that.
No, we had it.
And I think my reading of it is that they would continue to go into that space, you know, if they needed additional office space for C.W. Marsh. And my reading was that didn't happen. They didn't need the extra office space. And so they never went into the extra space.
I'm just stuck on the for a period of time. That
Yeah.
It kind of leads me to believe that you had residents and you have to say, you know, you got a year to get out because we're gonna make it into office or we're gonna take it over. And that
Yeah.
was the period of time and that was what they agreed on. That's
Yeah,
just
I
right.
hear what you're saying. I was a senior in high school when they wrote that.
So was I.
And, so I think I think the only response I can give to you on that is that the minutes show that they were aware that it was residential and that it was going to be used for residential, but also that when the board issues a decision, right, you all know, you can put any condition you want in the decision. If the board, if that was a critically important factor for this board in 1983, that this whole thing eventually only be office, they could have very easily said that in their decision. They could have very easily conditioned that, and they didn't, which leads me to believe that it wasn't a critical factor for them.
So Andrew's gonna scan that in, but, I think we should.
Oh, this is,
You have the
this is
decision?
right here.
I read it. I know there's some language in there.
I'm good.
All right. He's got, I think Andrew's got it scanned in. So Steve, do you know someone here that wants to speak?
I don't know, I just wanted to hear what
Is
the
there anyone
audience
from
had
the
to say
audience
first
that's here
before I
to speak on
talk.
this project?
Just want to see what they have to
I want to
say.
make sure we get a caboose, like a big line of them. So how many people are here again to speak on this?
Nobody,
Oh, how many places see?
nobody.
0.
I don't see a big impact. Compared to what's,
Nothing on the Zoom either, so.
No, we'll be checking that.
this isn't a high-profile meeting.
So you might as well start going.
So, I just want to make some comments to some of the things you said. Just because the zoning board in 1983 didn't specifically say one way or the other, they don't have to do that. It's taken for granted that you have to comply with the zoning laws unless you get relief from the zoning laws, and which you didn't get.
That's correct. They didn't grant relief because the house was already there and it was staying. So they didn't ask for a variance for the house. What complicates it, I understand what you're saying, it isn't black and white. What complicates it is the fact that there were two properties that were merged together into one. And there was commercial use on one property before the project, and there was residential use on the other before the project. And
understand
they
that.
came together to become one property, which meant basically the zoning also merged together. And the-
I don't know about that.
Well,
That's-
no,
that's a
I don't mean,
stretch.
I don't mean the zoning, I don't mean the zoning code, I don't mean the zoning code or the zoning district, that obviously stays the same. I mean, the fact that the use, that the established use on one parcel and the established use on the other were both already there before the project happened. And then they were merged together and became one,
And then you created a new project,
and it was,
and so
it
now you
became
need to
residential and
comply
commercial
with the
together.
zoning laws that go for that zone.
I can't find it on the registry of deeds, so,
We have it here. He had a copy of it.
all right.
Do you,
Sorry, should have told him earlier.
sorry, Andrew. Do you want one of us to go down there and have you scan it? It's up to you.
Sure. If you want to put it up on the board, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't just glance at that and then make a decision. I need to
Yeah, there's
look at that
That's
for.
why
Quite a
we gotta
few
look.
pages.
Well,
Yeah.
there's quite a few pages, but there's definitely some language in there. I thought we all had that. Is it in, did you
I
send
thought
that
I
in the
did
package?
too.
Yeah. it was
It's in our package.
It's one of the package. So the applicant at that time, as, you know, they applied for a variance for the front yard setback. So there are paragraphs discussing the front yard setback and detriment and all of that. There was a special permit to reduce the parking from 14 to 11. So there's paragraphs discussing, you know, the parking load and whether 11 parking spaces is adequate. And then there were paragraphs about the site plan review, talking about the driveway in, driveway out, the parking spaces, location of the dumpster, things like that. So the decision, you know, has specific discussion of all of those items, because those are the three things that were applied for. But they don't have any specific discussions about this, about the fact that
I believe
they're
there's
now gonna be
something in there.
combined and it's gonna
There's something in the discussion, in the decision, it says it's going to leave everything that's existing. So, I mean, I don't know where it is in there. I read the thing several times.
Did we get that with last week's with the site
I think
plan?
it's in the,
I think it was in the previous submission.
It was on the June 9th one.
Yeah, it was on, that's right.
yeah,
It was on the
that's-
June
yeah,
9th.
yeah. It's on that other piece.
Yeah, it was on the other piece.
Right.
But in your memo here, it says the 1983 decision did not change the use of the residence. And if it was the intention of the board could have easily conditioned it, but they wouldn't have to condition it. Because you were telling them that you were gonna make it comply with the B2 zone by making it 100% an office building.
Well, I disagree.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I
This is
disagree
just
with that.
the
They were
minutes.
saying the addition was gonna be 100% office building.
That's not the way I read these minutes, but anyway. This is why we need to change the zoning laws in Marshfield, because this is ridiculous to have to rehash this and, you know, if I'm gonna comply with the law to the strict letter of the law, I'm gonna have to vote no. Do I think you should be able to continue to have your residence there that's been there forever? Absolutely. But if I'm gonna follow the law here, I can't vote yes on this. Bob, what do you think?
The language is ambiguous. I mean, I see the meeting minutes.
I see that thing again?
I see the meeting minutes, and it looks like there was an intention to get rid of the residential use.
Yeah.
And I see exactly what you're saying. Whether they actually did it or not, I don't know. I guess that's probably the information you,
Well, you know, we know, you just already told us, you told Eric what happened, that you decided you didn't need the office space, so you kept it as a residence. But now you want to expand it, right? And
Is
so
that
you-
allowed, Bob?
our bylaws are very permissive with respect to non-conforming uses, but I think you're getting at, is it still a non-conforming use? So if you get over the hurdle that that use continue to exist, our bylaws are permissive relating to to alter, extend a non-conforming use. And then it's just a judgment call by you all as to whether it meets the criteria. So,
But it doesn't, is the problem.
I mean, you are the judges here, and you have to decide, are you convinced that the meaning and intention of this language was?
Is that it there, Andrew?
Yeah,
So, let Steve read that.
these are the site plan approval part, right? And these are the conditions set forth in the site plan approval, and the first thing that they say is that the use is not changing.
What use is that, though?
That's the existing
Because they're
use.
separate.
No, it
They were
isn't.
separate
It's-
They
it's
were
the-
separate before, at the
That
time.
language there says that is the existing use is not changing. They're not
So-
moving the use.
Just so you know, so that the people that decided that were Ellen Leonard, Judge Koshan,
I see the people in there,
He became the Chief Justice of the Land Court.
land court. It's not like they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, but the existing use means that it was
Gene
separated.
Bercoloni and
They're not,
Ed
they,
Dudley.
they merged the uses together, Steve. They never removed the use, and they agreed in the minutes that it would remain. I mean, this is, to me, is,
Pretty clear.
they do have an apartment there. I mean, there's no question there. This is a mixed-use
I
building.
agree.
The question is, they're looking to expand that mixed use, and that's the question that comes
Right.
to us in my eyes. And Bob, what is your opinion of expanding a mixed use like that? Is this allowed?
Well, as I said, our bylaws are very permissive. If you find that if the non-conforming use continued, and that's a finding you have to make, I can't make that for you or tell you how to do it. You have to make that determination. If you find that use was there, then the special permit criteria in our bylaw are permissive in nature, not prohibitive in nature. You have to go through those criteria, but I think you'll find, unless you find that the proposed use is going to be offensive or detrimental to the neighborhood,
Right.
the balance is going to.
So at the time of the application, though, were they separated?
Yes, that was part of it. That was the
Right.
granting of the variance.
The grant-
Right,
variance
so at the
fee?
time of the application, the buildings were separate, right?
Correct.
And so we had a residence, and you had a commercial building. And so when they say the use remains the same, I don't think they were meaning that the combined use can be the same. They were saying that, this
That's your
this residence is all right.
That's your
and this commercial.
interpretation, Stephen. This-
Well, that's pretty
This clearly
obvious.
states that the uses are not being extinguished.
Well,
And they created one building.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't ever
But after they
extinguish
created
the
that one
use.
building-
Where do they extinguish the use?
After they created the one building, they needed relief.
But they
They
say
have to combine the
specifically-
multi-use.
But Steve, they say specifically that the use is not changing, and that use was a combined use.
And
They were combined buildings at the time.
But
were separate
this was
buildings.
allowing it. This is what allowed it and saying that
Combining.
the use,
They were allowing one or the other.
I don't think so.
Where does it say that?
Where does it say
It
that?
doesn't say they were allowing both either, does
The
it? It says
variance,
they were
the variance
He
was
said
for the
it's
building
ambiguous.
itself.
ambiguous, exactly.
both buildings in the
Right.
decision. So I think, in my opinion, that.
But they weren't saying you can make a combined building with multi-use. That's not what that says.
Saying one or the other.
Does not say that.
That's the way I read it.
But that's what
One
happened.
or the other.
But that was the end result, which everybody agreed to at the time.
But the board was under the belief that there wasn't going to be a residence when they get combined.
Really? So what did the minutes say that you read?
That's what it said, that it wasn't going to be.
No, it said that the use was going to continue for a period of
For
time.
a period of time.
Yeah, then that period of time could have been
Steve,
before they
I don't-
combined the building.
What is the period of time?
What is the period?
Period of time could have been before they combined the buildings.
But it does say in the minutes, they admitted they were going to do that, and they agreed to those minutes. Like, if you're agreeing
Listen.
to those minutes.
They
you-
did- they didn't
how do you
set a
not
time
see
limit.
that
Well,
that
you know
is
what?
the use?
You guys can outvote me. I just,
No, I'm not saying we're
Steve,
gonna
with-
vote you, Steve.
With what we have going on, we have a mixed-use building that they're gonna increase the residential use of the building. I look at it, what's the negative?
mixed use ends right here. This is where
Sorry.
mixed use ends, right here. This is where the end of mixed use ends, it's the Marshfield Town Hall. When you go across the lights, it's not mixed use anymore, it's a B2.
But it's an existing
But it's a
mixed use already.
pre-existing, non-conforming mixed use. What does this card mean then? Can you
Are we
explain
gonna-
that?
are we-
It means that somebody did it for years when they weren't supposed to.
Are we gonna tell everybody who
Since
has a non?
1952.
You know what?
I'm just saying, where in the language
I'm just saying that
does
if
it
the strict
distinguish?
adherence of the law, I would have to vote no. So you know what I'll do? I'll let you guys vote. How's that?
If you want to abstain, that's fine. But we're
But
gonna.
what is the, I just don't see the negative with it, Steve. I see it,
I don't
I
see-
see every single point you're
Everybody's
making.
saying.
We need to
is he
change the
doesn't
zoning
think-
law. I'm all for letting them keep their residence, but I'm against me voting for something that I know is not the strict adherence to the law. I can't be doing that.
But as
It's
Mr.
a
Galvin
slippery
pointed out,
slope
we
once I
have-
start doing that stuff.
We have the ability of making that decision. That's within this board's
Our
jurisdiction.
decision is supposed to follow the
Steve's
law.
interpreting is he's saying that he sees somehow in here that they're saying this is only one use.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly by the language from the minutes that carries through to the decision, they're saying that this is staying for a period of time.
Got it.
So it is not extinguished.
I'm leaning more towards what Steve, I mean, I believe that the intent was to build a business. They took a house and a business, and they connected them in the middle, And in that neighborhood, the intent, what I read from this is, in my opinion, that their intent was to connect the buildings, make them one business, and that unit was slowly going to be phased out and be business
If needed.
if, no, I don't see the if needed. I see that was what they were gonna do. And they didn't need to put it in the order of conditions, because they had already spoken and said that
In the
that was
minutes.
that's what they were going to do. They were gonna phase that out. So I don't see it as, you know,
So at the time of the decision, do you agree with what the minutes said or not?
the minutes, to me, say that they were gonna phase out.
But at the time of the decision, what was the language that's in the minutes?
The language was that they would,
Go ahead and put it up there
Right
so
there.
he can read that.
Right here, yeah.
the language was residential unit at the
What is
far
that
right
word? Would
side
remain residential?
for a period of time,
But
comma.
that is at the time of the
Comma.
decision. The time of the decision, it is remaining as a residential unit. You have to square that.
And at the time of the decision, there were separate buildings.
I
So it was all right to have that like.
I would need to read
So,
it.
let me, can I explain real quick a couple things?
Sure.
So, first of all, the way this ever came about, honestly, was a request for enforcement that there was an illegal apartment over there. And I issued a notice of violation, and in response to that, Chris and I met, Attorney Harrington and I met and discussed the issue, and he went over the part, and that's where he first introduced me this information about the connecting of the two buildings, and that they had always had the residential apartment on the right-hand side, and that's when the idea to extend that existing non-conforming use came about with this special permit. So I will say that had I felt that this was not an existing, that this was a use that had been abandoned, that they would have to request a variance. It was my determination that they only needed a special permit, that the use had not been abandoned, that although ambiguous, right, it doesn't state in the actual decision that you cannot have the two uses there. In fact, it says that the use is going to remain unchanged. In the minutes, it's important to read the entire sentence, right? It will remain residential for a period of time. However, the addition, the middle part, will be taken over in its entirety by his office. And then, as they need the space, they will take over the area on the easterly end. So there could be an argument that they just never needed the space and they never took it over as part of the office and the use remained. So you have to read all of the aspects of it, look at it in the entirety, and also understand that the decision is really the decision. The minutes, yes, they're accepted as part of the discussion and why the decision is made, but the decision is the decision. And if I had felt that this use had been abandoned or was not a pre-existing non-conforming use that was allowed to be there, that I would have told them they need a variance and instead of a special permit to extend that existing non-conforming use.
Well, it might have
Which is
been a
allowed by
pre-existing
law.
non-conforming use, but it wasn't a legal pre-existing one. And that's a big difference.
In your opinion.
So why don't we continue this and have them ask for more relief? So we can do it correctly. Ask for a variance.
Yeah, but Steve, that's your opinion.
No variance is required.
Andrew doesn't believe it needs a variance. I don't believe it. I mean, we could straw vote the board.
But I do.
I don't believe it does.
I agree with Andrew.
I agree with Andrew.
The last sentence
It's very clear.
changes my opinion.
I agree with Andrew.
I just can't,
As they need the space, they will take over the area on the easterly end. They did not need the space, so they didn't take it over, which left it as a non-conforming, as a mixed use.
It's a mixed
My
use. I
opinion.
mean, that's what they allow. It's.
When I read that sentence, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. When I read it, I read it that, you know, if the business and the office continues to grow and we need more space, we'll go into there. But I didn't read it as we will go into there, and we will take it over, and we will get rid of the residents.
That's interpretation.
But that board didn't
That's
grant you
how I read it.
relief to do that, though. That's not the relief they granted you.
So I think what you guys can, and, you know, Steve, you can disagree with my determination as to whether or not that they need a variance or a special permit. But the question is, they have, you know, in my opinion, what I've determined is they have an existing non-conforming mixed use, right? That if they want to extend and alter, which is allowed under our bylaws, if it meets the conditions, and you don't find that to be any more detrimental, and it meets those 1 through 10 conditions.
That's how I see it.
Well, then,
And if you don't find that it does, then that's your right to vote against it.
well, if the board votes 4-1, then they get what they want, and then I get to hold the line on following the law that I think is the law.
But you gotta look at it, Steve, that the town, not we, the board created this back in 1983. They created a mixed-use building. And now,
That's not what they said, though.
that's
For
what
you
they
to think
did.
that group of people didn't know what they were doing
Yeah.
is just absolutely insane. It's, that, you have a judge, a sitting judge on there, it's just,
And it's,
if he wanted to make sure language in there that was more clear, he would have done so.
It didn't need to be. The law, the zoning still existed. You don't have to repeat the zoning law to have it to be in force. It's on the books.
So the uses will continue, what does that mean, Steve? What is the current use at the time? What is it?
The current use was 2 separate buildings doing
Right.
2 separate things.
And they combined them.
Now the use is a combined
They
building
said
in a non-multi-use
uses will
area.
continue unchanged. So, I'm sorry, but that includes the residents.
Well, I mean, it's no big deal. You can just pass it anyway, you know, I'm just,
Saying that we're
I
gonna
think we
pass it,
should-
you can have your opinion, we can have
right,
ours.
absolutely, I agree. And I get where you're coming from. I think they should be able to keep their residents in that building. It hasn't heard anything for 40 years. So let's change the zoning law so we can do it correctly.
We have the
But meanwhile, we have-
discussion. for the-
Those coming up, but I
Everything
just
going.
don't think this needs a zoning change. This clearly is a pre-existing, non-conforming use. It is clear as day to me.
If the title.
Language
the
all
title reference
describes
there,
it.
If it just said 2036 and didn't say both of them, I might agree with you. But where it says both of the addresses in this decision, and then it says that they are, their uses aren't changing, in my opinion, that means both uses on that property, that new property.
Well, it didn't say the combined use.
So why would they issue this card annually since 1983 saying these are the uses? They're clearly stated in there.
I make a motion, we move the vote.
I'm for it. So who are the voting members on this?
You gotta close your public
I know, but I want to know who's voting on this.
Well, you start with the fact that you have 5 regular members and one
One
associate.
associate. So are we ready to close and discuss it?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we close 2630 Alexi Realty LLC, 2036 Ocean Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Grow Hens, yeah.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mike Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
So who's voting on this?
I'm gonna have to vote. I can't just recuse myself every time I think I have to vote a different way. I have to vote.
So,
All right,
okay,
so it'll be, the full-time members will be voting on this.
So if the special permit gets voted down, what's the implications for that?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah,
Do
so,
you guys want to continue and
It's
potentially withdraw to?
3 members for.
no, they can just add a variance to their application. And they can use the same reasons that the people used it in 1983.
How do you feel, Eric?
I'm more along the lines with Stephen.
I think it's a dangerous precedent.
Yep.
Dangerous.
Following the law is a dangerous precedent.
You're
huh?
not following the law. In your
Yes, I
eyes.
am.
No, in your eyes, you're not an
You're
attorney.
interpreting it.
Don't tell us we're not following the law.
I'm not saying you're not.
No, you are, okay? We're reading things very different than you because we are looking at black and white, unlike yourself. We're looking at the language stated at the time of the decision. How you can come up with that language is not the same time as this decision is crazy. It's just, it is clear as day in there that it says the uses will continue unchanged. What does that mean? You are reinterpreting that?
I'm not.
The 3, 4, or 5, however many of us are agreeing that we see that clear as day.
It's your opinion, not mine.
You're right, and you're entitled to yours.
Yep.
You're illegal.
And you're entitled to yours.
If you're interested, I have the zoning bylaws from the
How many
1980s,
members?
which remain,
Need a
this aspect of
supermajority.
the change in use, non-conforming uses, extension and alteration of non-conforming uses is written the exact same way as it is today.
Okay. Even more clear.
The problem is, Brian, is you can't have a non-conforming use that's existing if it was illegal when it was existing.
But if they put the buildings together and allowed it, and specifically never said that you no longer have a residence, clearly in the minutes, they said they were carrying the residence on. So you're interpreting that as meaning that it got extinguished, but it didn't, because clearly in that language it says that. Then they say that the uses will continue.
Multi-use in one building that never existed.
But they allowed them to put the two buildings together, Steve.
You can't say it's illegal when they approved it.
That's what I did. I don't.
You think they approved it. I
I
don't.
mean, I'm looking at the approval right there. They approved it.
The language is beyond.
That
They
makes it
approved it under
legal.
the
They approved it
pretense
believing that it was going
gonna
to
be
be put into a
100% one use.
100%
That's what they did,
That's-
and it's clear.
That's
That
how
is
you read
clear.
that line?
That's how I read that, yeah.
That is clear, that they approved it thinking it was gonna be one use.
Even after Andrew just broke down that line, that's how you see it.
In the middle of building construction, when you're adding two buildings and you're putting them both together, the building in the middle is, yes, it's going to grow closer to the
But these
apartment.
weren't the building,
And
these
then,
are
and
two
then they're going to
separate
expand.
parcels.
Yes, one was a business and one was a residence,
Right, and they
correct?
allowed them to be merged.
With, I don't want to say with conditions, but they literally.
no
they-
conditions.
they-
There were
they-
conditions.
They presented it as the fact that they were going to consume the residential space as they were building.
As
So that,
needed.
so that would, to me, means they were going to consume that and make it one.
But at the time of
One
the
use.
decision,
Believe me,
I was-
Brian, I don't wanna vote no, but I have
at the
to.
time of the decision, what did it say?
I've told you 5 times, it's on the board, you've seen it. It literally says they were going to eat the space.
That's not what it says.
What it says.
It says they were going to
That's
eat
how
the
I read it,
space.
Andrew, but-
It said they were going to eat the space
Period of time.
if they needed it. That's what it said, if they needed it.
If I'm.
They didn't need it.
And speaking to you, and I want to make a mixed use, I'm going to tell you, listen, I'm going to eat the space, it's going to be gone, we're going to take it over and make it into a business
That's your
eventually.
opinion. That's how you
Okay,
interpret.
that's my opinion, and that is how I am interpreting
The
the
language.
minutes of the language, and I'm interpreting it
One
that
thing
way.
I will also just
What is the difference?
point out one other fact, okay?
That you
This
want
went
people
through
to-
the whole
you wanna-
process.
you wanna give them a
They got the
variance.
building permit.
So
They went
I
through all
read
the
the,
inspections.
I,
They got a
yeah, I
certificate
read
of
the variance
occupancy,
of what
and they never got
they
any
asked
notice
for,
of
and,
violation about
ever
the
since
use
was
from the
stuck
building
behind this
department or the
friggin'
zoning
rebar,
office
blah, blah, blah.
until I set one
You know, I mean, we could.
recently.
But Andrew, when they
That's pushing it.
closed that
Shown-
That's
permit,
really pushing
And it
it.
was shown to me that it was an
I mean,
existing
it's probably
non-conforming use.
worse.
right, but when they closed that permit,
I'm,
right? The building department closed the permit back in 83, 84, whenever they did.
I am, honest.
The residence was there,
guys,
part
hey.
of that,
I can't be voting against the law.
I can't hear, I'm sorry.
sorry, guys.
right?
I'm sorry, Brian, I couldn't hear you.
The permit at the time, when they closed the permit, had a residence on it. That is why it is on this card annually. And that is why it is, to me, that's what makes it legal. They closed the permit that said the residence was on it.
That's what I found as well, and that's
Right.
why I determined, along with the Attorney Harrington, that you needed only a special permit to ask for the extension and alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming use, which is allowed with a special permit under our bylaw in section 9.02.
So just to your argument, Eric, you're saying that construction's different, and that you said during construction, things change. But that didn't change, and that permit and certificate of occupancy was given with the residents there. So how do you square that with what you're saying?
Use was there for 10 years.
Over a period of time, the residences were supposed to leave.
But at the time, the certificate of occupancy was signed, it was allowed, right? That's what Andrew's saying. Do you agree with that?
I wasn't here.
I'm saying that's what he found in the records. So do you agree with that? That the permit, you're saying that it's different if you have a permit and construction happens. What you're saying didn't happen. What happened is they closed the permit that showed a residence on it. So hence creating the mixed use. I mean, I just, I understand what you're saying, I just don't think the language suffices to push to an interpretation that when you have a card, you have a building permit that was closed with it on there, they all show that this was
Camera's closed.
viewed. Every professional at the time looked at it and it was okay with them. I just don't see how that's not visible within this language that we're looking at.
You have to reopen the hearing if we do that. Bob, can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
Do you think that I am way off base if I was to vote no? Do you think that I have any legal basis to stand on my opinion of how I read
I
this?
think you're entitled to your interpretation.
That's exactly how I feel, Steve. You're entitled to your interpretation. That's
I'm
why
not,
we're here.
it's not my position to say whether the board is right or you're right, or,
Well, I mean, if I'm clearly not seeing something here,
I think that there's.
tell me.
I think that there's ambiguity here, and ambiguity is not helpful to the board's position to say no. Only, that's my view, okay, if that helps you in any way, shape, or form. I also think if you'd be supportive of a variance to do this, and I know how you feel about variances, but if you feel you'd be supportive of a variance, maybe the rest of the board would be supportive of a variance, a matter variance to the relief, and then, grant it as a variance.
Because they could somewhat use the same reasons they used for the variance in 1983, right? A lot of it.
I mean, for the applicant, that means, your public hearing is closed, so you have 90 days to decide this special permit, okay, from tonight. They can apply for a variance, you could hear it in 3 weeks, or whenever that meeting is, and if you're supportive of a variance, give them the variance, and then the special permit is moot, that runs with the land, and it's permanent.
Eric, are you okay with a variance? Or do you see any light at this being what it is and was it created at the time in '83?
Yeah, I would probably be more receptive to that, but I would have to read a little more of these minutes.
Well, if you need time, if you're saying you need time to review.
The board doesn't have to make a decision.
We don't. Do you need time to review this document?
I think we need both those guys.
I would like a little more time to review that big package of paper that we got.
Then that's fine.
I would like to see how it was presented.
That gives you the time to do
So
it.
you add it to your next agenda if you want to deliberate at your next agenda. If the applicant submits a request for variance, and, we schedule for a hearing in 3 weeks or
Well, he
whatever.
can do that, but I think that not everyone had read this. I think it's in the other piece. It was in the first piece of this, so I think not everybody read this. I definitely read this, that's why that language in there jumped out at me, and especially when Karen found those minutes, and you break that down the way I see it. You had this card, you had a completed job, permit signed off, and clearly stated on what these uses are since 1943 years. To me, it all adds up, but I understand, because I already read this, I understand, I believe some of the board members hadn't seen it, so I'm willing to continue to the next meeting.
And when I get a memo from the planning department telling me what their opinion is, I'm not gonna disregard it.
Yeah, but Steve, you gotta read the language yourself.
Believe me, Brian, I spent the whole day reading this packet.
Well, it's really only 2 paragraphs that I'd have to read. But- So would you guys like to continue our discussion to the next meeting, which would be the 28th?
Whatever will satisfy the board, I'm ready.
I'm ready, but
I know
I
how
think
I'm
that,
voting.
I think the right thing
But
to
the-
do is to let other members digest this
And
information.
you said
It is a big package.
you said you are
He needs time.
more on board if there was a variance involved with this?
Yeah, I might, I want to get,
Garrett
again, I
wants
want to
to review
read,
what's in
I
front.
want to read them
Do you find
comma by
you find
comma,
yourself
period by
to-
period, and
I think you need time.
This is how I found myself, Grover, that we need to fix the zoning laws in Marshfield, so things like this don't, where I have promised the people who put me on this board to follow the law to the letter of the law that, as I see it.
As you see it.
As I see it, that's my,
Right.
and that's my one vote, and you do it the way, your vote.
Yeah.
And you see
Jay
this,
does
as-
it the
you
way
see
he
this,
sees it.
you
Larry
see
the
this
way he
as
sees
more
it.
of a
Matt the way
variance
he
thing
sees
that
it.
you would vote for?
I would have to look into
Steve's a
the
big variance
the
guy,
rea-
so-
the reasons that they wanted a variance. I read the reasons that they wanted the variance in 1983.
And they square with you.
Another variance,
Well, they got passed.
a variance on top of a variance,
But they also passed this.
which they also have. They already have a variance.
But this-
Well,
this
hey, let's give them
taxpayer-
another
There
variance.
has to be another way around
This
this.
property owner and taxpayer has been in front of us several times now.
I don't want
Yeah.
to, I don't want to take away their residents, the ability to have their mixed use that's been there forever. But I can't start that slippery slope and be voting for something that I don't think is following the letter of the law, of the
But it's
zoning.
already there. It's there.
I get that, I understand that, but it's
So you're, so
pre-existing.
let me just ask
it was
this, Steve.
illegal.
Are you going to start taking away existing nonconformities?
From
Are
1983.
you going to start taking away existing nonconformities from people?
So we're going to allow all nonconformities in the town of Marshfield that are
Existing.
illegal, that are
Existing.
No, no one's saying
existingly
they're illegal.
illegally.
You're saying.
We're going to allow
No,
that.
no, I'm just
Well, but
saying.
what we're looking at here, is this an illegal use of anything? Considering the fact that it is all the documentation that goes with it.
I don't see-
A card and a signed permit that says these uses are allowed. We signed it. There's a residence in this building.
I don't see any evidence of an illegal use.
Neither do I. But one person does. You can't talk,
Chairman,
we closed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to direct a question to town council.
It's up to Steve.
You want to open, it's not up to me.
With your,
We
with your
can open up
approval.
the
It's not
meeting.
just
You
up
guys
to me.
wanna
I'm only
open
one
the
vote.
Open it back up, we should be, we should.
I'll
Open it back up.
I'm willing to open meeting. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Grovan's, yeah.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Aye, Eric Murphy.
Thank you very much.
Now you can ask him
I want to
again.
direct to town council. Do you have an opinion on the state 10-year statute of limitations on a zoning violation? That if there was something wrong with this
Structures
property?
that are improved pursuant to a building permit are legal, non-conforming uses after 10 years.
So
That is.
there's a
uh,
10-year
fact,
statute of
and
limitations.
I don't think anybody would dispute that.
So you think that's the case?
That's a structure.
100%, no, it's not the structure. It's the
Chapter
structure
48,
is
Section
created for the
6.
use.
Says that a structure that is improved with a building permit becomes a legal, non-conforming use after 10 years.
That's the structure, though. What about the use?
No, the use, Steve, because the use
What about
was
the
a
use?
residence at the time.
Structure.
So not the use, though.
Uses, there is no statute of limitations.
But what about the use at the time, if it's built for a bedroom, what is that use?
Well, you can't compel, you couldn't, like, Andrew couldn't enforce this and say, pull the kitchen out, pull the residential unit out right now. He can't do that. It's not possible. I
understand.
wouldn't be bringing it. We'd lose that case.
You guys willing to close again? With new information?
And then we'll change.
I'll make it
and then
easy
we'll
for
change
you.
the bylaw.
I'll make it easy for you. I'll abstain. How's that? I'll recuse myself from this one.
We
And
should-
then you
we
guys
should-
can do whatever you
Let's talk
want.
about it after our discussion at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Well, we don't have to,
Take it.
all right, I'm gonna move that we close again,
better than-
2630 Alexi Realty LLC, 2036 Ocean Street. Do I have a second?
Easy way.
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Grovan's, yeah.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
So does anyone have any discussion on this remaining?
I'd like to discuss this at the end of the meeting during our bylaw.
Yeah, but we're
discussion
willing to
session.
vote on this right now.
Yeah, yeah, I'm ready to vote.
But, hold on, is Steve, you abstaining from this?
So if I abstain and Eric abstains,
Eric doesn't have to
He doesn't
abstain.
have to.
well, I don't want to leave
Both-
him to be the
both-
lone no vote
Anybody
either.
can-
And do,
Any
put
member
it
of the
on his.
board can abstain,
Huh?
okay? Any member of the board can.
And so how many, what's the minimum you have to have? Three?
If two of you abstain, then all four remaining votes have to be in favor. Well, I mean, Mac isn't on this
Yes,
unless,
he is. If Steve abstains.
if he abstains, yes, Mac can vote.
Eric, what do you think?
And then if Eric were to abstain, then it has to be unanimous of the four.
Yeah, I mean,
You can vote no if you want.
no, I'm fine with, I will, I like what Bob says about the 10 years. I mean, that, it's been.
You're more
that long, and-
comfortable.
When town lawyer tells me something, I tend to listen.
Yeah, but that's not use, though, to be
No,
clear.
I get
It's
you.
a structure, that's
So I will
not use.
abstain, and we'll go, you four can
All right.
pick away. Sound good?
So, yes,
So I abstain.
and Eric's abstaining. The four members voting are Larry, JJ, myself, and Mac Brothers. So I'm going to move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit subject to the conditions. Need a building permit, as built.
Is the meeting closed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we closed it.
And a certificate of occupancy, based on the findings that applicant's proposal to convert the existing non-conforming mixed-use building currently comprised of 2 business establishments utilizing 3,266 square feet of office space for retail and service use number 14, and for 1 residential 1,214 square foot 2-bedroom dwelling unit into the 1 business establishment utilizing 962 square feet of office space for the retail and service use number 14, and 3 residential 2-bedroom dwelling units utilizing 2,304 square feet of habitable space contained within the existing non-conforming building on 2036 Ocean Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled Office Residential Conversion Plans dated November 4th, 2024 by Farouk F. Yusuf, R.A., 8 pages, and site plan dated March 16th, 2026 by Stemick and Taylor Incorporated. Revisions to April 3rd, 2026, which is font PLS meets the special permit criteria, sections 10, 12 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, wait, first, does everyone, Andrew, you put up 1 to 10? Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes. So, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
So now we're going to site plan approval.
And you have to note for the record, there were 2
Two abstentions, Stephen and Eric Murphy.
I got
Steve
it.
Lynch, Eric Murphy abstained. I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for site plan approval.
You don't need to do that because you already waived.
Oh, we waived, oh, we did waive that, you're right. All right, so we're done.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
Good night, gentlemen.
Oh, don't forget your paperwork. All right, so now we have SHM Green Harbor. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305, 1302, C1, and 305, 1010 of the site plan approval. In accordance with 305, 1202 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to allow the demolition, reconstruction, floodproofing, and relocation of the existing accessory building currently housing the marina's extensive electrical service on the property located at 239 Dyke Road, further identified in the assessor's maps as being on parcel M06805A, located in the B4 zoning district, floodplain overlay district, and coastal wetlands overlay district. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Attorney Steve Gard, offices in Hanover, representing Safe Harbor Marina, and with me is Paul Bellew. He is the resident architect for this project. As you noticed in the public notice, there is an application for site plan approval and a coastal wetlands district special permit. The stormwater permit, I think, is on Andrew, so that's not before you tonight, even though it's mentioned in the public. This is a very simple, straightforward situation. There was a derelict, beat-up old shed that was right on the bulkhead of the marina, and that housed all of the electrical equipment, like the different electrical panels that you would find in the basement of your home, only much larger to serve the marina. The marina has undergone a complete renovation of the waterside stuff under Chapter 91, including the improvement and replacement and upgrade of all of the electrical service, all wires, all cables, all switching. It has all the emergency shutoffs are on each of the docks now, so if there's an emergency or fire, anybody can actually shut down the electricity for that section. So what happened was there was a little bit of confusion with respect to raising and reconstructing this particular shed on its current location, and what that would require is to elevate that shed up to base floodplain +2, which is roughly, 18 feet, I think, at that point, which is kind of high for electrical stuff. So the plan before you tonight moves that building up out of the Limois and out of the, up closer to Dyke Road. Still complies with all of the zoning requirements, setbacks, area. It's going on an existing asphalted section of the parking lot. We are removing the other structure entirely from where it was, and any of the foundation footings that were there, which weren't much. It was mostly just on top of this wall. And then as far as the site plan goes, we're going to be trenching electrical trenches underground to the gangways, you can see the two electrical distribution, actually, it looks like one, it looks like we're gonna do, no, there's a small one going over to the other smaller part of the dock as well. So we're taking all of the overhead wires, getting them out of there. The only time it's gonna be overhead is from the pole that's located in the road layout, over to the back of the building. It's actually gonna go down to, first to a transformer, then it's gonna go underground to the building where all of the switches are. The building itself has to be pretty much that big. These panels are 8 feet tall, so you can't just stick them, in a garden shed. And the building has to be equipped by code with an emergency shut-off from the outside. Am I right, Paul? That's right. So the building's going to look similar to, one of the structures on the lot as it is, a block building with a roof, gabled roof, shingled, painted to match, the rest of the structures, the bluish Marina Bay structures. But that's really about it. It's not any more complicated than that. We're just improving the electrical service, and we're putting everything underground and need your permission because of, because it's a commercial site plan approval, basically expanding the building that was there a little bit and relocating it much further away from the resource areas, including the harbor. I think the building is proposed as 16 by 16, is that what they were talking about?
It's a 16 by 14.
16 by 14. So basically, it's the size of a typical garden shed.
Yeah, like Steve said, it's to be landside compliant with the water side compliance that we currently have. So ASC 24-24 and NEC 555.
And for the coastal wetland districts, moving it didn't save us a ton. We get to put it at grade 11, I think we're at about elevation 11, but we still have to dry flood proof it for the, the stuff inside. So it did save us having to lift it all the way up to 18 feet, which would have been crazy, and then moving it back, we still have to dry flood proof it to protect the equipment and whatnot, so. That's where we're at.
Andrew, you have anything on this?
Not particularly much more than that. I've been working with Paul and Steve on this for quite a bit now, and to get it all designed correctly. Like I said, they have to dry flood proof it. It's a little bit different than all the residential structures, which can have vents in them. They actually have to have barriers that prevent anything from getting in it when it comes up. So that's another reason. If you look here, this orange line is the limit of moderate wave action. So we also have this other dotted line. On this side is the velocity zone where we expect, in the worst flood and storm to have almost 3 feet of waves and wind. And then beyond that, in this zone, they're expecting 1.5 foot waves. Right. Beyond that, they're expecting nothing. So that limit of moderate wave action is significant in that anything that gets designed in there has to really be designed a very specific way. And when it came time to discuss rebuilding the wood shack, the limit of moderate wave action, that aspect of the building code actually only came into existence with the state of Massachusetts a year ago. So it was a new situation, and that's why they decided to move it back out of that more dangerous flood hazard zone, out of the way, up onto higher ground, and to do a different type of flood proofing on it. So I think it will actually be a benefit to this site and go along with a lot of the other flood proofing improvements that they've been going and doing here. And Paul especially has become a little resident expert in flood proofing here, working with me in the last couple of years, that's for sure.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that, Andrew. Paul is definitely the guru for flood proofing in Limoir in this flood zone, so.
Do we have anything from the board, Larry?
I'm just all for getting the electrical up there, modernizing it, getting in a better zone. The project looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Any time frame on being completed here?
We want to start tomorrow.
Just curious.
We wanna
No,
start tomorrow.
with the entire project being.
I don't know if they have any plans on, we still have that one service building down near the fuel tanks and
Yep.
stuff. I haven't heard any rumors about them doing anything there, so this is probably, this might sit us for a little while, definitely. Because we got the new building, we got the new restaurant building, we got the new tackle center, we got the new, we did the docks, we dredged all of the basin where the marina is, and now doing the electrical services new, so I think it'll tide us over for a while.
Looks like they've lined out the trench.
What's that?
Looks like they've painted out the trench.
Yeah, they did, and they saw cut it before they called me, and then whoa. We had a lot of on-site meetings where
Yeah.
I was kind of,
But
let's
it's
just say
technically-
guiding them.
It's where that temporary generator is.
Yeah.
Moving it closer to the street. I got it.
Yeah, right, that building is right behind the generator, yeah, which, the generator is not ideal. It's very costly to run that generator, I mean, believe it or not, it uses a ton of diesel fuel, plus the environment issues. But it's quieter than I thought it was gonna be. I was flipping out, because my boat was there for 3 weeks, and, but I was like, oh, it's actually pretty quiet. You can't hear it once you get down on the dock. So putting it behind the building was a smart move, and then, it is pretty quiet. So and Andrew was kind enough, we went over this all with Andrew before we put that stuff there. So it wasn't, we did everything as transparent as possible with Andrew, so he was comfortable as long as it was on the trailer and we could move it. And the electrical system's so big, we had to have another trailer for these giant, electrical panels for the distribution of it, so.
Yeah.
I think it's a good project. I think we came up with a pretty good way to work around the delays a little bit by getting things going. The boaters are satisfied, and now it's just a matter of time of finishing it. How long the project will take, I'm not sure. Maybe 3 weeks to a month, I think, at this point. It's gonna go quick. The contractors are all lined up, the building's even paid for. We paid for the building already, so it shouldn't be a real long process after this is done.
Eric, do you have anything?
No, I think it's a great idea. I'm all for infrastructure improvement and getting it away from the water and flood-proofing it. I worked down there when I was 13, and I can remember that building actually being scary then, so.
It-
Yeah, you know,
It hasn't gotten any better.
No,
I walked in it, I
literally, we're talking 40 years ago. I was like, whoa.
I've been down there for
Yeah.
20 years, and I never been in the building. When I went in it, it's like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy smokes,
It's like a
guys.
fun house.
It is a
Right.
funhouse, yeah, not a good situation. So I applaud the client for identifying this as a big issue and making it part of the marina reconfiguration and renovation.
JJ, you have anything?
Nope, good to go.
Steve?
So the wave action line that you have, is that south-facing?
So that line going east is the line, it would be the limit of wave action. So the 1.5 foot, as Andrew stated, would be between that line and the orange line, and then after the orange line, it's obviously in the velocity zone, which is 3 feet plus. But when you say going south, what do you mean
So
going south?
that way is south, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
out of the zone.
Yeah, the building's out of the zone, correct.
The waves usually come the other direction.
No, well, it's in the river, so
Not bad, but-
it's kind of, you'd be surprised that the parking lot does get some waves in, believe it or not. But at that point, up by the street, according to FEMA,
Yeah.
they're just dealing with flood rise, not wave action. That's
Right.
it. There'll be
Our-
water up there.
Our state used to be pretty cut and dry on velocity and AE, and then they added the coastal A, which we used to amend, so our amendment said anything in coastal A for ASCE, just forget it. Massachusetts brought that back in, so now it creates that intermediate zone.
Right.
That used to just be AE, but now you almost
No,
have
it's
to
just
treat it like
limbo.
VE,
It-
because it's a coastal A zone, and that's what posed a lot of
But
problems.
saying wave action, the waves come, when we have waves in the harbor, it's northeast.
Yeah, but you could get waves in there regardless of which direction they go, which direction the wind is. It's just a matter of, because there's enough
I
fetch
don't
once
usually
the,
get storms that come from the south that
Depending on the motion of the ocean.
create wave action there, but
yeah.
anyway.
Steve, this is also based off of a 100-year flood, which we've never experienced here, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
They want to go to 300 here, so we're gonna have fun there.
Yeah, it's just,
I think
All right.
another interesting thing to kind of mention is that this is one of the only locations in the entire town of Marshfield where the limit of moderate wave action, the line, actually doesn't line up exactly with the velocity zone. And it's probably the only structure in the entire town that was located within the Limois, other than, that we have, that would really apply to the coastal A zone is on this property. It's a pretty unique situation for this town.
Interesting. Anything from the audience here? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to move that we close 2631 SHM Green Harbor, 239 Dyke Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Gorenzi, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
My brother's eye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions. So they'll need a building permit, Andrew? Obvious, do they need a certificate or anything?
They'll need a certificate of use and occupancy at the end,
Okay.
yep.
Anything else they need in there, or?
a building permit, which they've already applied for, floodplain permit, which they already have, and, an as-built, which I'm sure they'll provide,
And the,
along, that will cover everything else.
All right, so that's good. Based on the finding that the applicant's proposal for the demolition, reconstruction, floodproofing, and relocation of the existing accessory building currently housing the marina's extensive electrical service on the property located at 239 Dyke Road, known also as by the former name Green Harbor Marina, as shown on an electrical shed floor plan and elevations by Main Street Architects dated May 12, 2026, one page, electrical gear building plans by Rivermore Engineering LLC dated November 11, 2025, 3 pages, site plan of Green Harbor Marina dated January 29, 2020, Stenbeck and Taylor Incorporated, William McGovern, PLS, and Gustavo Raposo, PE, 8 pages, utility plan by Merrill Engineers and land surveys dated May 1st, 2026 by Thomas Pazurski, PE, 1 page, meets special permit criteria in sections of 10, 12 of the bylaw. 1 to 10, please, Andrew. Everyone agree with 1 through 10?
I do.
I do. And so the voting members on this will be the full-time members. So, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Now we'll do the site plan. I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for site plan approval, subject to the conditions, building permit, floodplain, certificate of use, occupancy, based on the finding that the applicant's personal proposal for the demolition, reconstruction, floodproof.
Brian?
Yep, sorry, Andrew.
You should make a condition about like lighting and stuff, that it's gonna meet the lighting requirements of the bylaw. Be downcast lighting, that kind of stuff.
All right. I adopt what Andrew said. And based on the findings that the applicant for the proposal demolition, reconstruction, floodproofing, relocation of the existing accessory building currently housing the marina's extensive electrical service on the property located at 39 Dyke Road, known also as the former name Green Harbor Marina, as shown on the electric shed, floor plan and elevations by Main Street Architects dated May 12, 2026, 1 page, electrical gear, building plans by Rivermore Engineering LLC dated November 11, 2025, 3 pages, a site plan of Green Harbor Marina dated January 29, 2020 by Stenbeck and Taylor Incorporated, William McGovern, PLS, Gustavo Raposo, PE, 8 pages, utility repair plan by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors dated May 1st, 2026, by Thomas Pazurski, PE, 1 page, meets the site plan approved from standards and design criteria of 1202 of the bylaw. What are the ones we have to, do we have the 1 through like 8 or something for,
There's 2 sections.
on the
Yeah.
site plan?
There's performance standards and then design standards.
All right. On site plan?
Yeah. I mean,
There's 10.
there's 10 of each, so
10 on each, Andrew. Does everyone agree with those that we're looking at right there?
Yes.
I do. Steve said yes, Eric said yes.
Yep.
And so do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
2623 L1 Commerce Way Realty LLC, 125 Commerce Way. You're already read in, so I don't have to read it again.
Good evening. For the record, Garrett Horsfall with the Kelly Engineering Group. Also with me tonight is Carl Dickman, the applicant for the project. Last before this board, I believe in May. Since then, we've gone through the peer review process with Pat Brennan, who issued a letter last week. All of the site-related items have been addressed. There's a couple items for the board's consideration within that memo. We did issue some revised plans in response to that. The building and layout of the site remained the same. It's, again, a 16,000 square foot industrial building here with about 27 parking spaces, currently designed for 2 tenants. However, it is a speculative building. It could be 1 tenant, but we hope to market this building with an approval. And we believe that the comments have been addressed. I know there was some discussion about the septic design. This is a speculative building, and we did test pits for the stormwater drainage analysis. We know there's sands on the site relative to the septic. We just don't have a final location for that based on who the tenant may be. And, if the board would consider it, we'd like to consider that as a condition of approval. We understand that, we have to go to the Board of Health, and that would hold up our building permit at the same time. But again, there may be one drive-in door, there could be three here. That's the main reason for that request that we have for the board's consideration. However, we're glad to answer, any questions the board may have.
Pat, would you like to speak on what you did for us?
Thanks, Pat Brennan with PGB Engineering. I was asked to review the project for the board. I did issue a letter back in May, the end of May. As Garrett mentioned, they revised the plans and the drainage calculations based on that comment letter. And I issued another letter last week based on the revised documents. And I'll just run through the comments real quick just to tell you what I was looking for and how they addressed it.
Sure.
My first comment, as Garrett mentioned, was we need test holes for the drainage system to make sure it's going to work, and they had adequate separation to groundwater. They had done that. Based on the test holes, they revised that design slightly. The system got a little bit bigger because they needed it to, based on the soil texture out there, so that comment was addressed. A second comment was in relation to retaining walls, and I think this is more a comment or a question for Andrew. Some of the towns that I work for, retaining walls are considered structures and need to meet setback requirements based on the height of the retaining wall. So I wasn't sure how that was treated in Marshfield. So I just wanted to raise the issue because it is, the retaining walls are within the sideline setbacks for buildings. So, I don't know if you want to get some clarification from Andrew on his opinion on that, but I just wanted to raise that. And Andrew, if you want to chime in now, go ahead.
Well, I guess, one of the things that I would be asking here is, how much fill is going to be brought into even this site, if any. So, if it's going to be retaining walls and regrading, if you're taking existing, stuff, but it seemed to me like you were kind of just going to be filling in and bringing that existing grade over. If that's the case, I don't know how much fill we're bringing in, but that's a special permit requirement. There are conditions for filling of land as far as, let's just see. Limitation of fills or terrace fills, which are not to exceed 10 feet at any one time, nor be within 10 feet of an adjacent lot line or any cut. So that's a terraced fill, which I would imagine is something that has a retaining wall. So they can't exceed 10 feet at any time, nor be within 10 feet of an adjacent lot line or any cut. So that would be, but that's within the special permit for filling more than 500 cubic yards or more of land, or an area more than 10,000 square feet. So I wasn't sure by looking at the site plan if either one of those conditions were being triggered, quite honestly. The only other question I had was about the open space calculation and how that was come about, but that was my only questions there concerning those two issues, Pat.
Okay, and so I'll just jump ahead to one of my comments, because one of my other comments was about the grade changes on the site. The site slopes, as you're looking at it from the road, it slopes from right to left. So I asked for a cut and fill analysis so we know how much material they're either bringing in or bringing out. And based on their analysis, it's a net cut of 5,600 cubic yards. So there's 5,600 cubic yards of fill leaving this site. So when you're looking at the site when it's done, it'll look relatively flat from the road with a big retaining wall on the right and one on the left.
Okay.
So just getting back to my other comments, they do show two types of retaining walls. One's the small block, one's the big block. So I asked that they label which one's which, and basically the larger block wall will be on the east side or the higher side of the property, and then the smaller block wall will be on the downhill side. I asked them to revise the Cape Cod berm detail, so that it's put down with both courses of pavement. They did that. I had a comment about filter fabric underneath the stone in the infiltration system. They addressed that. We don't want filter fabric underneath the stone. I asked them to extend the erosion control barrier along the front of the site because the site does slope down toward Commerce Way. And they did do that, so the erosion control barrier goes across the front of the site now. There was, on the original set of, the original set of plans that I reviewed, there was 2 property lines shown between this property and the property that holds the building at 125 Commerce Road right now. And, you know, one of them was they had an approved A&R, and then I believe it was revised, or whatever it was. But basically what they did is they provided the approved A&R plan, and now all of the property lines on the site plan match what's on the A&R plan. So it does match. And my only other comment in that same comment was this parcel is between 125 and 175 Commerce Road, and they were calling it 123, so obviously it's not going to be 123, so the town will issue that street address. They do have grading that needs to be done on the 125 Commerce Road or Commerce Way property. They did get a letter or a memo from the owner of that property saying that they are providing permission to do that grading on that property. So I just ask that they provide that to the board so that you know that they have that permission. And then your bylaws require amounts in square feet of proposed buildings, impervious surface, area of open space, both natural and landscaped on a lot to be listed on the plans. They did add a table listing those areas on sheet 3 of the plan. And I compared those areas that they listed with the drainage analysis, and those areas are consistent with the drainage analysis, so those are correct. One of my comments was if there is any proposed landscaping, that they should include that on the plans. In their response, they said that the applicant will be retaining any trees along the frontage that are able to be saved, and the remaining green areas adjacent to the building will be landscaped with a mix of shrubs and seasonal color by the owner. Just want to make sure you guys are comfortable with that, or if you think you need more to see what's going to be done for landscaping there. I did make a comment in the previous letter that they did provide a photometric analysis that showed that there will not be any light spillover off the property. So that was just informational for you guys. And then the town planner had a comment that because they are disturbing more than an acre, they need a land disturbance permit under the stormwater management bylaw. And in their response, they said they would apply for that permit with the planning board. So they've pretty much addressed my comments, just a couple things for you guys to decide, whether you think they need more detail on the landscaping plan. And then I think that's mostly it. And then the retaining walls, just looking at it, some of them are, at least the downhill side, is, you have some areas where it's 10.5 feet. So it does get over 10 feet in some locations. And it's within 10 feet of the property line. And that's the filled part of the site, but obviously if they have an export of 5,600 square feet,
They don't fall under that.
it's filling that they're doing they're moving the material around the lot, not.
Then they wouldn't fall under that fill removal. So the only thing I would say is today, when I was in the office with Andrew doing decisions, Gary Russell came by from Board of Health, and he said there was no perk test done yet, and he wanted those done to show whatever the size of the system's gonna end up being. He asked us prior to us making any kind of a decision. I don't think that's a big deal, right?
It can be done, it's just that septic system may move, is what we're getting at is,
They want to see how large the system's going to be on the site based on facts.
we could certainly design a system based on about 16 employees, because that's, speculatively of what this would be for an industrial use for Title V. Obviously, we can't pull a building permit without a fully designed septic system, so we're sort of going at risk if we were asking for a condition of that.
Not asking for a condition, is there any way you can just at least do the perk test, then you could show us this could move around here and there?
Yeah, we could certainly schedule those, but that was really the reason. It was more of a speculative thing. Might just have to redo it again is what we were getting at.
I understand that you'd have to redo it anyways. I don't know where the system's gonna go, but, I guess you guys have an idea what the size of the building and the room you have to move.
Yeah, we had on the top left here, we did have a septic system, designed, very small system, just based on, basically a coarse sand material with very low occupant load.
Well, I mean, if you
Yeah.
can do something to satisfy, I think, what Gary's looking for, that would be helpful.
Yeah, like I said, there's, right now we have 3 drive-in doors, so we do have a, tight tank proposed for that, just for the plumbing code aspect. Like I said, there may be no drive-in doors, or there might be 4. So that's why, that's why the request was made that, the final plans that go to the Board of Health would incorporate all of that based on a final user of the building. Right now, there is no user of the building. It could be manufacturing use, could be more industrial. It could be more manufacturing waste that go to a holding tank as opposed to just drive-in doors. So that's more of the request of why we said it before, but if the board and the Board of Health would like to see that perk done, more than glad to do it.
Does the Board of Health, if we pass it with saying that they have to, wherever that final
Condition it.
location is, condition it and say,
Well, Gary was just saying he doesn't understand why there's not a perk test here. He came up today and saw me and Andrew on it, so.
I think what he's saying is they don't know, they don't want to do it twice, I think is what they're saying.
I know, but I think what Gary's saying is the soil, how's the soil up there? You did tests that you said for the drainage, but they're not perk tests.
No, but it'll perk. It's,
Listen, that's sand and gravel up there, I understand that. I just want, maybe you can go down and work it out with him, and then we can decide this at our next meeting. I just think it's something that needs to be addressed.
we could certainly have a offline discussion with him and just, make sure he's satisfied
Make him
with the
comfortable,
approach.
and I'm sure that would be fine. He's just worried that we're gonna approve something that the system's not gonna fit.
I hear it, and like I said, we'd be subject to that at building permit with the Board of Health, and like I said, that'd be our risk of not being able to pull a permit without a passing system.
Any questions from the board on this?
Yeah, so they pretty much, from what I understand, they pretty much satisfied all your concerns, correct?
Yes.
Except for the landscaping, if we wanted more of a defined definition of what they were gonna put there for
Correct.
landscaping. Okay. How does anybody feel about the landscaping?
I mean, if you look
Was
at
they
the,
sufficient?
most of the neighboring properties, I'm just looking at the overview right now. There's bushes and stuff, but not the
Pine tree.
there's residentials across the street.
Yeah.
Residential across the street kept all the pine trees, so we could say want to have them leave a buffer of similar to the neighbor across the street.
I'm sure you'll have some kind of a design on their
Yeah.
commercial building.
Yeah, and they are showing that they're retaining a row of trees along the frontage.
Front of the property.
Okay, so that's fine.
Any other questions from the board? Andrew, other than the question we had from Gary? Guessing that's a no. Bob?
There was a question about setbacks that was mentioned. Setbacks apply to buildings, not all structures.
Right.
Only structures that are buildings
Buildings, not
are the
walls.
setbacks.
Not in Marshfield, yeah. You can put them on the lot line.
Yep.
All right, so, anything from the audience? Go ahead. Up to the podium, name and address.
I'm Paul Armstrong, I'm the abutter of 175 Palmer's. First of all, I just have no objection to the project, them building there and so on. but I do have very big concerns about that retaining wall. I just saw the plans for the first time this past week, and just hearing now that they're talking about using those lightweight blocks. The grade at my property is elevation 110, and the top of wall is 122. That's 12 feet in the air. It's 4 feet above the ceiling. It's a huge retaining wall, and it's over a couple hundred feet long. And I'm a little scared about that, especially with those small blocks. You know, those things do crumble and come down. And only that, they're requesting just a little guardrail. I mean, somebody in the vehicle, I just don't know how that's all gonna hold together and where all that water's gonna settle in there like that. Just my biggest concern is that wall. It's a big wall.
Yeah, okay.
So like I say, I have no objections to the construction they're building, whatever they're doing there. I just have concerns with the wall. It just got brought to my attention.
So
The
through the,
large wall, the larger block?
You can see the grade is 110 at the end, and it's 120.
What size block are
They
you
had two
using on
wall-
that side?
Two size walls.
It's the Keystone, it's the smaller ones on Paul's side. It's the larger, stone-strong, big ones on the uphill side. I mean,
Why the difference?
personally, I prefer the larger ones myself.
Personally, from my point of view, from what I had to view at Madison or whatever they call that place, that walls fell
Oh,
down
they kept
4
on falling
times.
down, yeah.
Those little blocks rolled down that hill, and they're not even 6 feet, 7 feet tall. They had to clean, and they kept using them. Those walls kept collapsing.
so through the chair, if I may, so these will obviously be subject to, since they're over 4 feet, structurally designed, stamped by a professional engineer for the wall design. But if it's the board's preference to seek gravity block on both sides, we can certainly incorporate that. They will be, these are Keystone blocks with geogrids. I mean,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just absolutely had to go to the 40B project up there. I believe it was 4 visits because they collapsed, geogrid everywhere down the side of the hill. I think it fell down 3 or 4 times.
Right across the street.
Yeah. so-
Oh, yeah.
I'm just telling you.
We
I
could-
couldn't understand why they kept using that block.
we can certainly go to, larger blocks, and quite honestly, a lot of times at the end of the day, we'll get a shop drawing that the contractor swapped out, segmental block to gravity block walls, when it comes time to construction. But if the board, would prefer to see larger block wall on both sides, we're perfectly amenable to that.
Telling you what I saw up there right across the street.
We don't usually have butters come in concerned about stuff like this, or a lot of the time butters don't ever come. Having a direct butter to this, saying that he would be more comfortable and feel safer with that, and I feel like it might be a good idea to maybe use the bigger block, but.
Would that satisfy you more, Pat, with that?
I'm always happy with the larger block because I had to go out
We
there.
had to go on all those visits. Andrew was there. It's just,
I saw it myself, it's falling down.
it was a disaster, and they weren't that tall.
And the larger blocks, just as an aside, Holly Road, you know it, Brian.
Yes.
When they did that new section of it, coming off of Ferry Street, and you had the retaining block walls on both sides, after
They rotted.
about 10 years with all the groundwater coming through, those smaller blocks disintegrated. They had to redo those walls.
Had to redo all of it.
Whereas the big blocks are, you're not gonna disintegrate those.
No. All right, anything else from the board?
So we can make that change, huh? I'm good.
Yeah. So do you think you could get with Gary and then get this squared away for the 28th?
Yeah, I can have a conversation with him. I'm talking to him on something else right now anyway,
Just
so
the
I.
way he was with Andrew and I today, I would, honestly wouldn't be comfortable
Yeah. Carl.
with this tonight.
Okay.
All right, can we move this to the July 28th? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye?
Steve Lynch, aye.
Grove Hensy, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Thank you.
What'd you say it was, the
28th, July 28th. So now we have the Union Street. Is there anyone here for 769 Ocean? Andrew, are they not here?
It looks like you may not be.
All right, well, let's move them to the 28th.
That's
We need information.
It's the mudroom.
Yeah, so 2395, 1067, oh, sorry, 2384, 769 Ocean Street, move to the July 28th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye?
Steve Lynch, aye.
Carl Ramsey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
So Bob, as far as Union Street goes, we just have to decide the date that we're gonna hold that meeting on?
Yeah, we have to advertise the public hearing.
All right, Andrew, so, 1067 Union Street, I think we already talked about it. We'll advertise the public hearing. I'd like to have that in the last meeting in August. What date is that, Andrew?
We're loaded up for the next one.
Yeah, so August 20, whatever,
August 26th.
26th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Litch, aye.
Carl Ramsey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
August 25th. August
25th.
I thought it was the 20, I thought it was the
25th.
I'll do the public hearing notice.
Bob said he'll do the public hearing notice for that, Andrew.
Okay.
All right, so we did the 25th. Everyone got that? Larry, do you want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Litch, aye.
Carl Ramsey, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Do we have any other business you'd like to discuss tonight?
Yes.
All right, let's go, Stevie.
Let's write a new zoning law that allows one residence.
Go ahead.
Here, Bob. That allows one residence in any commercial building anywhere in the town of
I
Marshfield.
agree with you, Steve. I don't disagree.
So we can have,
Minimum of one.
well, I don't know that we want to expand like 3 per 10,000 square feet like we did with the Brent Rock overlay and create that night.
Eric did that.
But one per building is reasonable.
I don't disagree with you.
What's the counter to it?
You know
Why
what,
wouldn't you?
It doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand why we, Bob was saying.
By right or a special permit process?
Special permit, well,
By right.
special permit, I guess.
So
I
we have
mean,
to
I'd
hear
like
it.
to see it by right, like
We don't want it in front of the board.
like Steve puts it, not the ADUs, but the AUDs.
AUDs,
I'd
that's
like to
right.
see those. I don't know, I think that's something we'd have to think about, but, and then the whole thing about being on the first floor, I don't know what happened to that, Andrew, with, I don't understand why you can't have a
The
unit
guy
on.
at Zen Zone, he can't do it because it's a single floor. It has to be above in that district.
Right,
So
I think
he would
that,
need to apply for a variance from the ZBA, similar to what the, Drosopoulos were doing for their project. Request a variance from the ZBA and get that granted from the condition requiring the residential unit above. And then if he got the variance from the ZBA, would have to take that and go for a special permit with the planning board.
what would be the harm in having a residential unit in a commercial building on the first floor? Is there something wrong with that? Like, I don't understand,
I
you
don't
have
know that I
handicapped
agree with
people, you
that.
have elderly people.
Second floor is good.
I think the commercial, you're walking on the sidewalk, you're going into buildings, and then all of a sudden there's a
Yeah, you get people
apartment.
walking by your
You grab a door,
windows.
you walk in, you're like, that's someone's apartment.
Right.
It's happened to my house.
And-
It's happened to my house
here's
on
the
Grand
thing,
Rock.
right?
Oh, interesting.
Someone has walked in my front door thinking, oh my God, I thought this was a business, and my kids were like, ran out the back door,
But
and-
do you think
Or
there's
not even
something
that,
wrong
or
with it?
just think of like, some household stuff,
Yeah.
Like that, and the way that easily collects outside of your place, and if you're,
Grill,
hanging
couple
out
lawn
at your
chairs.
place and your stuff's outside, it could start to be a detriment to the business next door that's trying to run a business in a certain way. You know what I mean? So you get into a little.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure, because
that could get funky, I can imagine.
just trying to be sympathetic to the elderly and the handicapped. It's just,
Well, right, exactly. I mean, I think that's one of the other rationales behind allowing it is, ultimately.
maybe with some discretion.
They're kind of low-cost apartments, right, you would hope. And if you could create some that were low-cost, that were on the first floor, that allowed people with mobility issues to get into them, I think that would be obviously.
I wouldn't mind if it were ADA limited for the first floor and then second floor, because I gotta agree,
Well, it gives it.
if it's in a commercial area, then you don't
gotta-
want to disadvantage the
Traffic.
business.
You got traffic and.
It's there for the business, and we need business. We need more, more
I
business.
mean, I think it's just something we gotta think
I
about.
think we should write zoning that is a first step. To
Right.
go to first floor residences in commercial buildings, well, we can take that under consideration later, but
I like-
right now, we can do the first step, which is
Just
to
get it.
allow any commercial building in Marshfield to have a ADU on the second floor. That's what we should do.
A PADU, as
Padu is
we
what they
call them,
That's what they call it now, the new term.
the protected ADU.
Okay.
which it's a very defined, 900 square feet
Before
or
we start
less.
getting into really
That's what
complex stuff.
Greg-
I do.
Just ease the stuff for now. Of course, that wouldn't help tonight, because they had residents on the
yeah.
first floor,
Right,
which, anyway, we won't go there.
no. I wouldn't help
Just
tonight
leave that one
due to
alone.
different opinions, but, no, I
Yeah,
just think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea.
Then let's write it and give it to the planning and let them have a
I do
hearing.
too, but
Well,
I think, I personally think it should be a special permit process if you're gonna mix.
no, I think
commercial and
that's what
residential together.
that's what we're trying to work on this, but I think what we should do is have Bob find one from the towns around us and give that to us to start our carving with,
yeah.
because they're around us, they definitely.
The sooner the
Yeah,
better.
towns around, well, he left tonight, but, let's ask
mean-
him to bring it to the next meeting.
I don't want to go
Let's
through
get
this
one in there.
anymore.
Let's
Fighting
get one
over-
thing going,
fighting
let's get
over-
one done, Steve.
You know, let's get it done.
Let's just
Yeah.
at least get one
It's the
done.
most thing we can do to advocate for the town and people.
I agree.
Get this done, let's do it.
I love this.
Yeah.
I want this 100%.
Ease the zoning a little bit.
Right.
So get it written
There's
and
a-
bring it to us and we'll.
There's a
look at it.
population
If you wanna write-
explosion,
look it up,
we gotta do
Steve,
something
but
about it.
Just ask Bob, I mean, we should ask Bob, surrounding towns who have something like that. You know,
Get her done,
Yeah.
get her done.
get it done. So the first step is to ask her out and treat her like a lady.
So the flip side of that is, can you take a residential unit and put a commercial into it?
No, absolutely not. Not unless it's pre-existing.
That's the flip side.
Well, unless.
Well, you can run a home business out of your house, I mean.
You can't,
Yeah, you
no.
Yeah, you can have an office. You can have an office.
You
in
can
your
still,
house.
you
That's
know.
it.
No, you can do that.
There's only certain businesses that you can rent.
Yeah,
You
there's
can't
just
have a
certain-
shop in your garage.
That'd be a slippery
Yeah.
slope.
Right, because we
Then
already went
you
through that
start
with the
getting
lady
into
that wanted the
A
barber shop.
residential
in her house.
neighborhood, and you got, like, I can't tell you how many times we've had people.
Remember that one.
Kennels.
You can't put a kennel in your house.
Harley Davidson
Selling her
fix and
house.
shop right in the next door neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, one of the most interesting we had on Union Street, which I've never heard of. Have you ever heard of a cat kennel? We don't, you have?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I
People
haven't.
go away, they gotta give their cats to someone to watch for the week.
They're talking about like units. This is what these people from down south,
Cat condos?
yeah, that's what they had. They wanted to do, well, none of us, I had never heard of like a cat.
What are they gonna do with all these cats? To breed them? I mean, what's the point of
No,
having?
it's just like a dog kennel.
Yeah, so you rent, you go
You
away.
rent the space when you
say,
go away,
leave
or
my cat with
or you
for a
drop them
week.
off during the day, they're there. I've never heard of it before, but that was definitely interesting.
Pack a
That was
wild
on Union Street.
Pack of cats escape.
All right, let's call it.
All right, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Motion to close?
Yeah.
Go ahead, second, Grover. All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
All right, Steve Lynch.
Robin's aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
All right, thank you.